Hi, good morning. My name is Rachel Murphy, and I'm the CEO of Difrent. And I'm here today to talk about my choice to challenge. So, if I talk a little bit about my working history, um, I spent 20 years as an interim and I worked across public and private sector, but I've also worked for a lot of consultancies, so PwC, KPMG and Accenture. And during that period, I've run business teams and I've also run IT teams. And I've delivered a lot of pretty challenging projects across public and private sector. And towards the end of my contracting career, I kind of moved into healthcare, and I led a big transformation program for the health regulator, Nursing and Midwifery Council, and then I led the patient-facing transformation for the NHS. Prior to that, I was CIO for Department for Education. So that just gives a little bit of context. And towards the end of my role with the NHS, I absolutely loved it. It's still my favourite role, and I think it was my favourite role because of the impact that we made. I was responsible for bringing patient-facing transformation, and so we implemented things like the NHS app. We migrated all of the content from choices over to create live transactional services. And these were services like register with a GP, booking an appointment, and accessing your medical record. But at the end of that period, it was incredibly intense, 2 years. I went off to India, and a lot of people joke and say, did you go off to India to find yourself? I don't think it was quite like that, but I was drawn to some really good weather and some Indian food for a month. But whilst I was out in India, I decided it was time to build the company that I hadn't been able to find when I worked in the public sector. And that really was the birth of Difrent. And my motivation around building Difrent was probably to test that I could, but also to assemble some of the, the very best people that I'd worked with across public and private sector to build user-centered services for government and healthcare. And over the last 3.5 years, I've been running Difrent, and it's been quite the journey. We've done a lot of really interesting work for clients, predominantly across the public sector. So probably 90% of our work is in public sector. And we've continued with the theme of the work I did at the NHS. So a lot of it is patient-facing transformation. A lot of our work is in healthcare. And we have been very lucky in the work that we've been involved in. We built out the COVID-19 home testing service, and we built that service in 8 days for the NHS back in March of last year. And then we continued to iterate thereafter. We have built the NHS jobs platform, and we built that for all hiring across the NHS. And we built that, we started probably 2.5 years ago with the NHS, and we started with a business case, and we're all the way through to running a live service, and we now have 4,000 organisations across the NHS doing all of their hiring through that platform. And we've done some really interesting work across government. We built a service for HMPPS, and we built that service for prisoners 13 weeks before they were coming out of prison to make sure that they could apply for benefits. They could register with a GP, and they could also apply for housing, so they didn't come out of prison and feel the need to reoffend and therefore reappear back in the prison. And a lot of the work that we've done has been picked up from an award perspective. So we've won a couple of awards for the work that we've done in healthcare, so HTN, and also medtech, in way of being recognised as an SME who deliver for healthcare and for the NHS. And later today we had a very public announcement about a recognition from the Department for International Trade about being one of the top 100 organisations in the UK who have delivered healthcare services that could be exported around the world. So that's a sneak preview, and it's coming out later today. And Difrent really it's about building a collective of people who have delivery and people at the heart. So our strapline is digital is about not just about technology, but it's about people. And this is a great visual representation of the organisation, how we work, and the services that we provide. And at the minute, we are a UK-based organisation, and we're all working fully remote. No real surprise there with the current pandemic. From a personal standpoint, I'm very reflective in how I lead, and I think that's something I've developed over the last 20 years. I certainly didn't start like that, but I'm becoming more and more reflective. And what I mean by that is, it's never easy leading teams and leading change, but I think that there are ways that you can help drive change, and ways of working with teams. It's interesting because there's the eternal debate around servant leadership, and I probably see it as a bit more collaborative than that. At the end of the day, you have a responsibility as a leader to be setting the vision and the strategy and the direction of travel, but you want to empower the teams to be, accountable and responsible themselves. So that's just a little bit about my style from a leadership perspective. And 3 years into building Difrent, we were approached by 3 different companies to sell the business. And for me, I think I came into Difrent with a bit of a 5-year plan, thinking, can I build it? If I need to put a time frame on it, is 5 years realistic? And it was really important to me that when we went through the sale of the company, and we went through the sale 20 weeks ago now, that I involved my senior team. Because it was an AIM-listed acquisition, they actually had to sign legal contracts that they were aware, and they therefore didn't buy shares from an insider trading perspective. But it was incredibly important to me that they were involved as part of the process, and also, when the sale went through, I actually phoned myself and spoke to every single permanent member of staff that night, because it's important to me, that personal aspect. And, people really do sit at the heart of a services business. So 20 weeks ago, we were acquired, and we were acquired by the Panoply. And I've talked quite openly about why we selected the Panoply. And we selected the Panoply because, not because they were offering the most money, they weren't, but we selected the Panoply because at the heart of Panoply is user-centered in way of the approach, and that really resonates. And the other bit is the ambition for Panoply is very values and purpose driven, and that resonates with me from a personal perspective, but also very powerfully with my management team and staff across Difrent. So 20 weeks into joining Panoply, I'm now in the process of bringing together and merging Difrent and one of the other companies within Panoply, a company called Foundry 4, and they're both the same size in way of turnover and of staff. So it's a complicated challenge, but we have a very strong belief that it's the right thing to do. And what will happen is we will create a technology delivery business that is really focused on designing, building, and running user-centered services for health, government, and utilities clients. And we will manage that end-to-end process, which is an exciting opportunity, and also will enable us to go and rival some of the some of the incumbent suppliers. So an exciting opportunity, exciting challenge, and yeah, I mean, I think some people would say 20 weeks in, ambitious. I'd agree with them. It's been a grueler of a week or two, but the reality, I think, is we will be in a very strong position to go to market with an end-to-end offer. And so I'll just close out on saying, for me personally, it's incredibly important to make the choice to challenge. I think a lot of people are doing jobs that they're not 100% about. A lot of people are not entirely fulfilled with what they're doing. And I would just urge and encourage people to really challenge some of that. We are all at work for far too many hours. So unless we're happy and we're enjoying it, and it's energizing us, I think there really should be a choice around challenging some of that. So thank you very much. My absolute pleasure being here today, and all the best. Thank you.